bird registration, population per game, the full number isn't shown, but the order in which the games are most popular is shown. And there's some real telling shit in here. Really, really surprising. A lot of the things I expected to be higher aren't, and a lot of the things I expected to be very low, well, it just depends on the game. Let me go ahead and open the tweet real quick. Okay, here we go. Tweet. I wonder if my display capture, no, that's game. There we go, that'll work. Yeah, so here we go. End of early bird registration, EVO 2023. So it looks like we got Street Fighter 6 as number 1, Guilty Gear Strive as number 2, Tekken 7 is 3. Holy shit, Tekken 7 is 3. It finally came true. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 as number 4, Dragon Ball FighterZ as number 5, The King of Fighters 15 as number 6, Melty Blood Type Lumina as 7, and Mortal Kombat 11 as 8th. This is pretty cool. I'm glad that we at least know like what people are feeling in the very beginning. NRS games are always really small. I wasn't expecting anything less from MK11 Ultimate. I'm gonna be quite honest. Like the first year an NRS game is at EVO, it does really, really well. But then every year after that, it's a lot less popular because there's a lot less people trying to get that NRS prize money, and the eyes on the game drop significantly, right? Melty Blood Type Lumina, it's not uni. Melty is really cool, and I think watching it was really, really fun for EVO Japan. It was super fun to watch Melty. But I just think enough people, or not enough people, play it for the amount of people who think it's sick. I'm one of those people. I'm people. I think it looks really cool and looks really, really fun, but I'm not going to play it. I was expecting the King of Fighters 15 to be higher. We're going from the bottom. I was fully expecting the King of Fighters 15 to be above both the tag games. I'm honestly surprised that Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is also above Dragon Ball FighterZ, but I was expecting, the King of Fighters 15 to land at like 3rd or 4th, kind of maybe swap spit with Tekken. One of them is 3rd, one of them is 4th. But here it is all the way down here at number 6. I'm really surprised. I think the game is super sick and like has some of the best neutral and modern fighting games, and like a whole host of like characters to play. There's a lot of different characters and teams, and maybe just because a lot of people can't play it online, they just haven't been practicing it as much, and they haven't been like wanting to really show out and show up for the game, which in a day and age where most of the fighting games are going to be run online, like most of what happens for fighting games is online only. Let's be quite honest. So because of that, it's really shitty that they don't have great netcode, because if this game had a really good netcode and working lobbies and a working matchmaking rank system, I'm sure it'd be a lot higher on this list. I'm sure a lot more people would be actively trying to play and learn it. But because, hey, what up, Phantom? How you doing? But because there's so few people like on the game, there's so few people able to even play the game, it kind of makes it harder to learn, right? I know a lot of people who said they wanted to get into KOF and they started playing it, and they were like, dude, I can't play anyone. Like, I have to find people to fight. Like, it's worse than playing Guilty Gear Strive online, where sometimes you try to play online and you literally can't because the servers are too busy exploding, right? Dragon Ball FighterZ. This is about where I expected. I expected like 5th or 6th for Dragon Ball FighterZ. It kind of makes sense. The game's really old now. It's getting a lot older in age. Tekken 7 is the only Tekken 7 and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 are the only games on this list older on the showcase for the main 8 EVO games. They're the only games older on the roster than Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball FighterZ has had what, 4 seasons of DLC? Maybe it's had 4 like seasonal patches, but only 3 seasons of DLC. Maybe that's one thing. Yeah, it's had a lot of DLC characters, a lot of changes, like meta shifts out the wazoo, whole lot of tech found. The game is a really solid tag fighter. Like for people who like tag games but aren't really a fan of going back and playing something older, like a Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or a 2, and don't like the styling of Infinite, or just don't like Infinite because everyone else said they didn't like it, because that's how a lot of you are, Dragon Ball FighterZ is good. Like, there's nothing wrong with Dragon Ball FighterZ. I would say that I personally prefer playing Dragon Ball FighterZ over playing Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think there's a lot of really, really old, fucked up shit in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 that just doesn't exist in modern fighting games. You expect tag games, and especially Marvel games, to be really broken, and it definitely is. And I think Dragon Ball, when you look outside of like the most meta characters, right? Android 21, Lab Code 21, and the fusions, the game is actually really, really like diverse and interesting. But unfortunately, those characters are so overbearing on the meta that it makes it hard for you to see anything other than those. Like when those characters are on screen, you basically see red. It's like, I'm seeing red. I'm seeing red. Like I said, I'm gonna mention it again. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 as number 4 really shocked the fuck out of me. I expected it lower than King of Fighters and Dragon Ball. I don't know if I thought it would be lower than Melty or if I thought it'd be lower than Mortal Kombat. I did not expect this big of a turnout, at least in the early bird registration for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, right? It might just be because it's the early bird registration, so a lot of people who haven't been able to play Marvel on an EVO stage for a long time are like, fuck it, I got it in there. I gotta get in now. If I don't do it now, I don't know when the next time I'm gonna get to go to an EVO for a Capcom tag game. A Marvel versus game, as it were, right? Super great game. Love to watch it. Hate to play it. I was showing off really fucked up degenerate shit in fighting games like a few weeks ago. Maybe it was like a week ago. And this game it embodies that. It is cheap shit incarnate, right? You have three characters, so it's less obnoxious, but truly, I think the way that this game functions is like it's literally dog eat dog. It's you do something fucked up, or I'm going to do something fucked up to you. You better figure out what the fuck you want to do. You trying to defend this fucked up shit, or you trying to make me defend? And as a spectator, I think that's great. As a spectator, I think people really like Marvel. Marvel brings the hype, but I was not expecting to see this much excitement for the game into early bird registration. These numbers could change. Right, some of these games could end up higher, some of these games could end up lower, but it is a surprise regardless. Like if Marvel ends up permanently above Dragon Ball Fighters and the King of Fighters 15, I would actually be surprised. I would be legit surprised because I think that those games have, it feels like they have bigger followings than something like an Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, like when it comes to an active player base. But them's the breaks. And then we get into the top 3. I don't have much to say, because these are like the most obvious top 3, right? The only thing I could have seen in Tekken 7 spot was KOF 15. Like I could have seen Tekken in 4th and KOF in 3rd. But as you see, KOF is all the way down there in 6th. So tag games run supreme. Tag games are the better team fighter, apparently, in the eyes of many, in the eyes of most. Tekken 7, mainstay. Can't wait for 8. Really cool to see that they're supporting the game for one more year at EVO, right? There's no reason to just drop the game and not have a Tekken EVO game. People will show up for it. And though the meta is a little annoying, right? It's not a very open meta. There's very, very strong, obnoxious top tier characters. I think that the diversity when it comes to like the highest level of play is really, really high. I don't think it's the same way at mid level and low level. Right, when it comes to like actual competitiveness of those mid-level and lower level players, you're going to see a lot of the same characters, but at high level play, there's so few repeats, right? With a roster as big as Tekken and a balanced team so devoted to making sure every character feels like they can kind of play in some way, even if it's like really cheesy or obnoxious or one-dimensional or like overbearing, they've really nailed trying to make every character feel playable in a way. I don't have much more to say about Tekken. I wasn't expecting it to not be too much lower than this, right? 3rd or 4th was my pick for Tekken. And of course, Guilty Gear Strive at number 2. Honestly, I can't say I'm surprised. Guilty Gear Strive is the biggest fighting game out right now. It is probably the most popular current generation fighter. Street Fighter 6 is going to beat it literally only because it is Street Fighter 6 and it is new. Street Fighter 5 kind of pushed a lot of people away. And so it made people open their eyes up to other fighting games. One of the franchises that people really, really opened their eyes up to is Arc System Works fighting games, right? That's how Dragon Ball FighterZ got so popular, because Marvel wasn't doing too hot. That's how the original Guilty Gears, or I should say Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2 and like Blaze Blues got more popular because of the fact that Street Fighter 5 was so bad, right? So now Strive picks it up. Strive is a little bit of a broken mess right now when it comes to its online play, but for the most part, it's serviceable, it's functional. You can play online. It's very hard to do sometimes, but when it works, game is liked. People really, really like Guilty Gear Strive. Do I? It's okay. Like, it's a fighting game. I love all fighting games, so every game on this list I'm going to tell you is sick as fuck, because I think fighting games are sick as fuck, but I don't really get all the popularity and the hype. I think it just came out at the perfect time to kind of pick up the hearts of people who didn't know where the fuck they wanted to go in current modern fighting games, right? So now we wait for the next big thing, and that will be, if I'm not mistaken, right? Things could change, but that'll more than likely be Street Fighter 6. I think Street Fighter 6 being number one, even if the game's not out yet, makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. Capcom basically runs EVO. EVO is always, there's always a Capcom game in EVO, even when it's not good, right? For a while we had Street Fighter 5, wasn't the greatest game. I like Street Fighter 5, I like watching it. I'm not gonna play it, but watching it's cool. Now we have a significantly more well-received for the time Street Fighter game, right? A lot more people are coming around the idea of rollback netcode, so that is like already implemented into the game. Like, we know that it's going to have rollback. We know it's going to be working relatively well from what we could tell from the betas. It's going to have sick lobbies. Like, there's a lot of things to do and a lot of social aspects to the game that make it so people want to pick it up and play it and try something that maybe they haven't before. Maybe they're coming from a different, string-based offense game, or they're coming from a game with links and they want to give Street Fighter a shot, and Street Fighter 5 wasn't for them. 6 is the perfect opportunity for some of these players to kind of break out of their shells and start playing something else. And that something else is going to be Street Fighter 6. Woohoo! I'm excited for Street Fighter 6. I'm not going to act like I'm not. I'm not going to say I'm not excited for Street Fighter 6 and that I'm not a fan of what it looks like they're trying to do with the game so far. I think that if all goes well, it's going to be the biggest fighting game of this generation, right? It's going to be bigger than Tekken, even though Tekken 8 looks really good right now, right? It's going to be bigger than Guilty Gear Strive, maybe bigger than KOF 15, and we don't really know what the fuck NetherRealm is doing. We know there's an MK12, but we don't know much about it. So, unfortunately, I think a big reason why MK11 Ultimate is all the way down here is because it's not the fresh MK, right? If MK12 had got announced prior to EVO and was supposed to come out a month before EVO, it would probably be in the lineup. They probably would have immediately done MK12 over MK11 Ultimate, and that might be a bit higher. Like, it might not be number 8. It might be number 4, number 5. It might be closer to the other upper echelon of like big fighting games you think of. Because casually speaking, when you think of fighting games, or when most people think of fighting games, the fighting games they're going to think of the most are going to be Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and Tekken. And moreover, it's going to be Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat has like a huge pop culture influence. It's like got massive casual appeal because of things like fatalities and the towers and story mode and just everything that NRS has been doing, and even before that Midway was doing, to kind of make Mortal Kombat very fun casually and very known casually, like have broad appeal, worked out really well for them. And I think that in the competitive scene, that just doesn't hold up as much, because people really just want a good game. They don't really give a shit about story. They don't care about towers. They don't care about funny, cool fatalities and how you can like rip someone's jaw off and make them talk like a puppet. Like, that doesn't matter too much to most people who want to play fighting games competitively. They just want something balanced, fun, that suits them, or I should say for the most part balanced, right? Not completely out of whack. Fun, suits them, and moreover popular. I think that a lot of people who play fighting games play what is most popular and suits them, right? So if Strive doesn't fit you, but you've been playing it because it's the only popular game out right now, when Street Fighter 6 comes out, you hope to God that it's like a way better fit for you. If you're feeling displaced because DOA died and you got into Tekken 7 too late, and Soul Calibur 6 is a little behind as well, like on player base at least, right? Very behind on player base. Then you're waiting for Tekken 8 and you're hoping that suits you. Or, Virtual Fighter 5. Virtual Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown's cool, but it's PS only. You got to play on emulators to play the older ones, the original Virtual Fighter 5. So you're waiting on Tekken 8 because you're a 3D fighter. You love 3D fighters, and that's kind of the big thing for you. Tag games. Unfortunately, we don't really have a big one around the corner other than Project L. We don't know what other tag games are coming. We don't even know if there's gonna be another tag game anytime soon. Kind of unfortunate, truly. But yeah, that's the EVO lineup. Like early bird reg numbers, right? We don't have the numbers, but we have the popularity order in what was registered for. And I'm fully expecting Marvel vs. Capcom 3 to move down from 4th. I'm expecting it to end up 5th or 6th. So with how high it is now, I don't expect it to go significantly lower. But I could see it going down like 2 spots, right? Like Dragon Ball and King of Fighters passing it up at most. And that would probably still be fine because it seems like the best time to play fighting games is now. So just play whatever you want. It doesn't matter if it's super popular, if it's super niche, as long as you can find a match and that match is a stable enough connection. Just play what you love. That's what I want everyone to do.